Could you walk me through what they did, step by step, what the surgery was about?
Yeah, they performed what I think is referred to as a partial facial levitation, where they took the face off from the lower part so they could get in and remove the tumour. What they were doing apparently while I was under was to send bits off to the lab to see if there were any cancer cells around there, and if they found out that there were, then they would cut more, and then they would keep cutting until there was a margin that was clear.
So they not only removed, so they tested parts to see what to remove.
Yeah.
And then they needed a space of clean cells. So they were just finding the boundaries.
Yeah.
And what do you mean they took your face off first?
Well, they performed partial facial levitation, which is they cut around there and there, so they opened it so that they could remove all the gums, the teeth and everything from the upper part.
Right. So the scars you've got now are around your nose and around the top of your lip?
Yeah.
And that's it?
Well, I got the tracheostomy.
And the tracheostomy, and I guess there's one here at the peg.
Yeah, a very minor one, yeah.
Right. So once they removed this, then they took your teeth out, they took your gums out, and they took the top palate out?
Yeah, most of it, quite far back. And they reconstructed it with bone and skin from my leg.
So while you were under, they got to your leg and took some bone out?
And skin.
And skin?
Yeah.
And put that... So they were doing the both at the same time?
Yeah. They also took a vein from my leg to supply the roof of the mouth with blood. So...
That sounds huge. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It's just incredible what they did, you know. Amazing. The expertise in these people, you know, is really... well, I commend them. I'm very, very grateful to them for what they managed to do. Because really, without that tumour would have just got bigger and bigger, and the thought of what would have happened is really terrifying, really. I mean, thank God for these people, you know, that can save lives, and for the research that's done into these situations, you know. It's miraculous what they can do, you know. And it's not just the expertise of the medical team, but it's the thoughtfulness and caring attributes of the people working in the NHS. When you go through this kind of treatment, it's life-altering. You know, it's deep trauma, really, for a lot of people. And it's absolutely terrifying. So you've got the recovery on a physiological level, but also you've got the recovery that needs to take place on an emotional and psychological level.
And how was it, emotionally and psychologically? How did you cope?
Well, it has helped enormously by the care and the compassion of the people at the hospital, and of course my friends and family, you know, who were there. You know, I can remember distinctly when I came round after the surgery, there were two NHS staff members by my bed. One of them was the speech therapist. Obviously they didn't start speech therapy then until much later, but she was there also with her colleague who was involved in the physiotherapy later on. And I just remember opening my eyes and they were both standing there like two angels, really. And one of them said to me that they want me to know that they're going to take very great care of me.
Oh my goodness.
And that I'm safe there with them. They're going to look after me, you know.
So they were there to meet you on the other side?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and obviously they had decided, they'd planned this, you know. So I think for that to be one of the first things that you hear is really quite powerful.
Do you remember, because it's like coming out of the operation, you're greeted by these two angels saying, "It's okay, we'll take care of you."
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was like going into the operation? How you were feeling?
Yeah, I was absolutely petrified. Yeah, because it's really the unknown. You know, whether you're going to survive the surgery, that's not certain. And I knew my life wouldn't be the same again after it.
So it was the end of your life as you knew it?
It was. And, you know, it was a complete watershed in my life. Life is not the same after it, you know. And, of course, it's just the uncertainty of it all. You know, that's very, very frightening.
So with that, it just feels right to bring the album in now, because you're giving, they call it tithing, don't they? A tenth of what you earn from the album is going to this unit that saved your life, or?
Yes, well, Guy's in St Thomas's Hospital, you know, the ENT ward there, which is where I spent most of my time. I really wanted to give something back that hopefully will help the staff and the patients, and just contribute in some way towards the wonderful work that they do, and hopefully the experience of the patients themselves. So obviously the fact that I'm still here and able to speak about it, let alone make an album, is because of the NHS staff and Guy's in St Thomas's Hospital.
I remember you saying that it took a while before they could even give you teeth again.
Oh yeah, that was a long time. I mean, that was done in stages with the implants. You know, I think it was over a year before, because they had to let everything settle. The bone from the leg had to settle in, and the face. One day it would be one side would be swollen, and the other would be the other day, and gradually over a period, I think it took about 3 or 4 years really before it started to stabilize. It started to, after 3 or 4 years, people weren't really looking at me as if there was something odd anymore.
So people used to look at you?
Yeah, you could. Obviously, I was on crutches a lot, which added to it, and my speech wasn't normal at all. So there was that, and just on the street or something, or sitting somewhere, you could see people looking and trying to figure out what had happened to me. You know.
The speech therapy, did you need to learn to speak from scratch, or how was that?
No, they were actually surprised because of the extent that they took out there. Before the surgery, they said to me, we wanted to know what the possibilities can be following the surgery, that it will impact your speech, but you will, with help, be able to make yourself understood. Now, that to me was quite a serious thing, that people will just about be able to understand me. But I think it was just 2 or 3 appointments that I had with a speech therapist, and they were really quite taken aback, by how well I was able to manipulate really the new shape of the roof of the mouth.
That's amazing.
It was very new.
So did you have a Welsh accent before the speech therapy, or did that come later?
I did say to the surgeon said to me, "You've still got your Welsh accent." I said, "No, that's the most important thing." I said, "I'm not getting rid of that."
I guess I've got one last question, and I wonder if you can sum up in a nutshell, after everything you've been through, and now the journey home's going to come out quite soon. Why do you feel you went through that, and what's this album about? Is there a link?
Yes, there's a definite link to the album. The album really is about coming to a breaking point and surviving that, transforming and being more comfortable in your own skin than you've ever been before. And that's what it was. like for me, really. The cancer treatment and the vulnerability that I felt at the time is one of the aspects which led me to a very serious breakdown. And really, I think now, having survived that experience, I didn't think that I was going to survive the breakdown. I knew in the cancer situation that I could very well survive that. But
so physically, you survived the cancer,
yeah.
but then after that, you had a breakdown.
Yeah.
And that's when you were on the edge.
Yeah, I didn't think that I would have. I didn't think I was going to survive that breakdown. In fact, I would go so far as to say I kind of knew that I wouldn't, if that makes sense. I had like this deep feeling that it had really come to an end, that my life had ended. And I was quite surprised to find that I was surviving it, and afterwards really to become more aware of your surroundings and to have those layers peeled off. You really, I think the breakdown takes away the surface layers, and so the falseness, the bits of you that really aren't authentic get completely taken away with the fragmentation of your inner self. And what's revealed underneath is really the pure spirit. And I think following the breakdown, it was a rebuilding of myself from that point. So it was a completely cathartic, transformative experience.
Could you sum up the energy or the feelings behind the story of the album?
Yeah. For me, the album is a very personal story. But of course, we all experience one way or another these elements that are inherent in life. Loss, pain, joy, relationships, the profundity of the relationships that we have with each other. And all those things, we can all relate to them. So I've written this album in a way which is deeply authentic to myself, but also I've hopefully left it open enough so that we can all find ourselves in it in one way or another. And it is really about survival and transformation. The album is not meant to be a story that is limited to pain and destruction. The album is meant to be a story about experiencing that depth of pain and destruction and then surviving it and coming to a place where you're really in awe of what it's all about, and the fact that we can have these, we can have this influence on each other, that in relationship to each other, we can really impact how we experience this life.
It feels like with the Journey Home album as well, it feels like the journey is actually just beginning again after everything you've been.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very, very exciting time.